Welcome to the Browns Wire Podcast. This is your host, Josh Keatley. With me, as always, Donovan James in his tie-dye shirt. Donovan, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Always rocking the tie-dye shirts. I'm good, man. Good to have. Happy New Year. It's the first show, right?
That's right. It is. It is.
Happy New Year, man.
Yeah. I'm assuming your New Year went pretty well.
It did, man. I had a really good one. Are you free of COVID now, or are you still?
Yes, I have.
Ohio's getting hit hard.
I saw that.
Stefanski.
Yeah. We'll get into all that. I am a COVID survivor. It's funny. My fiance's sister actually bought me a shirt that says COVID survivor.
That's great. That's great.
So funny. But I thought I was going to say you had a pretty good weekend because I believe most of your bets landed. The only bet that I saw that I remember that did not land was the Georgia bet.
Yeah, they won, but they barely won.
Bro, yeah, that was – and Cincinnati had the game wrapped up, man. Bad clock management by Luke Fickell. I was blown away by that.
Yeah, impressed by. I was happy for that Georgia team, but I was really impressed by Cincinnati. Just like I said, I knew it would be a tough game. I didn't want to bet on it in my heart, but I was like, well, maybe they'll win by. Was it 10, 9.5, something like that? So I don't know. But yeah, I won all.
Cincinnati was winning. Cincinnati was winning by double digits going into halftime. That was when the announcement came out that James Wiggins wasn't playing and the running back wasn't playing.
Your running back too. The running back you mentioned last week.
I was like, it's game over. Donovan won this game. I mean, I didn't bet against you, so it didn't matter to me. But I was like, it's game over. Donovan's got this wrapped up. And the next thing I know, they're just slaughtering Georgia. Their defensive backs are just super aggressive.
What's that linebacker's name? Sorry to interrupt you. He was the best player in the game besides Azeez Ojulari was obviously amazing for Georgia.
Yeah.
But what's the kid's name from Cincy, the linebacker? Marcus Howard or
that sounds right. I don't know. I know that Desmond Ridder, the quarterback, had a huge game. I'm trying to remember the linebacker you're talking about.
I think it's Marcus Howard or something. He was good.
He was everywhere.
Yeah, he was everywhere, man. He had so many tackles for loss, and I did mention they weren't going to have James Cook, who had been playing pretty well lately. His father passed away. Him and Dalvin's dad passed away, but I mean, no excuse, for Georgia with all that talent. I mean, they won the game.
Yeah, I mean, because they're playing a non-Power 5 school who the biggest difference should be that depth.
Yeah, Cincy impressed the hell out of me though, dude. Yeah. I mean, they really belong.
Look very good. But we'll go ahead. Let's talk about some Brown stuff, man. Everybody knows that we do a show on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Wednesdays is our betting show. So tomorrow we'll talk about our top 3 best bets. The season's winding down, so we'll give a brief college football handicap and our 3 best bets for the NFL. I had another outstanding week in the NFL. But again, we'll get to that tomorrow, Tuesdays, where they talk about the Cleveland Browns and our predictions and what we saw. We talked about last week how one of my best bets was the Pittsburgh Steelers getting 7 points from the Cleveland Browns. Matter of fact, at the time of the podcast, as we were recording on Wednesday night, it was you that informed me that the spread actually went up to 9.5 points while we were on air.
Yeah, I think it was 9.5, I want to say.
Because while we were on the podcast, it was announced, before we recorded, it was announced Mason Rudolph was playing. While we were on, the Pittsburgh Steelers announced that they were benching Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. And then the next day, they announced that they were benching Marcus Pouncey.
Pouncey got benched, and I thought Tuitt did.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Either way, so that spread kind of skyrocketed. I didn't need it. Everything that I kind of said was going to happen, really played out.
It did.
Yeah. Mason Rudolph. Yeah, he's just not terrible. He's not good. I mean, I don't want him starting for my team, but he's not a complete there's worse backup quarterbacks out there, and we see worse backup quarterbacks pretty much every week. Chase Claypool was an absolute handful. Deontay Johnson's got great speed. Juju Smith-Schuster is always a very reliable receiver, and the Browns had a really hard time dealing with that. With that being said, the Browns did win to get in the playoffs. They celebrated like they won the Super Bowl, which has me a little concerned for this upcoming week.
But I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. We'll get to that. I want to talk about. Let's keep the topic on this past game, and then we'll move on to that. Donovan, what did you think about this past week's game? I kind of summarized my thoughts on it.
that was an ugly win, but that's
It
how
really
they've
was.
pretty much been winning most of their games. Like I kind of said that back when I first started this show. Like the Browns are not winning pretty games at all. They're not really like a high flying off. They can be, but they're more of a gritty team and grind it out, run the football with Kareem Hunt and Chubb. Or behind that big offensive line, Joel Batonio. No, he'll be out, sadly.
Yeah.
And those big boys up front. But I mean, obviously, everybody wants 6 to do well. Baker Mayfield. You can hate him, you can love him, but you're going to watch him. He's got one of the best press conferences in the game, too. But as far as the game goes on the field, yeah, they won the game, but it wasn't pretty. I think they also knew, though, that they possibly were playing this team again next week, and they are.
Oh, they had to have known. They had to have
so
known.
I mean, I think they were pretty vanilla with the play calling and kind of disguises and schemes and the defense and everything. So that took it into play as well. They didn't go out and really play their best game, but they didn't have to. They just needed to grind it out and win, which they did. I was impressed by some of the Steelers backup players that came in and had to play. They're tough. They're always you never really blow out the Steelers. That's not a team that gets blown out, even if when they lose, they just lose. So they're not getting destroyed. So
I agree with that. And you said, you nailed it. You said the Browns won dirty, or not dirty, but it was not a clean game. They didn't blow them out. They always do that, but they don't always play the other team's backup. So there was a glimmer of hope that the Browns are going to put their foot on the pedal. And then it's not very often that the Browns are almost a 10-point favorite. I mean, that's a big spread in the NFL in general, not just for the Cleveland Browns. So I think that most of the general public really thought that the Browns were going to put their foot on the pedal and it was going to be, a bloodbath. But as we saw, the Steelers are actually much better than we thought. And again, that was against their backup. So that leads me to my next question, Donovan. What do you think what is going to happen this upcoming weekend? And I'm not ignoring you, by the way. I am listening to you intently. I'm trying to find, right before the podcast came up, I was trying to find the actual COVID list because it came out.
Okay.
And it literally just it's gone from my screen. So that's what, if you see me peeking off to the side, I'm trying to pull that list back up. Unless you already have it up, but I figured.
No, I don't. I know Joel Batonio has it. And,
there's a couple.
Your coach, Stefanski and like 3 or 4 other coaches have it.
Malcolm Smith has it. The linebacker. Denzel Ward's probably not going to play again. But yeah, I don't want to interrupt you.
Oliver, how do you say his last name?
Olivier Vernon. He tore
Olivier Vernon. Excuse me.
Yeah, he's out. We knew that before. That's not really a COVID hit. That's still hurt. But he was a more effective pass rusher than Myles Garrett the past 8 weeks. So that's much more devastating than people want to admit. Yeah. People think that Myles Garrett is just the end all be all, but that's just simply not the case. Olivier Vernon's been great. Olivier Vernon's been absolutely great.
Yeah. As far as next week goes, he has been great. I agree with that. But as far as this week goes, it's gonna be tough, man. The Steelers have a really good team. I'm trying to debate with people, like, especially on Cleveland Browns Twitter, which is huge. Like, do you want to play the Steelers in the first round? Would you rather play someone else different, like Buffalo or whoever? Like, I think this is a good match for them because they are familiar with them. But this rivalry game, this rubber match, their matchup is going to be tough. The Steelers are healthy. They're fully loaded. They don't have any COVID concerns as of now going into this game. They're well rested. Big Ben had a week off, which is huge.
Huge for him.
For a guy like, what is he, 38?
Yeah. Huge for him. We saw his arm kind of get tired midway through there. That was his game a lot really depends on the ball. So definitely tell, and it definitely affects his game. So that week off really helps a guy that's a big, deep ball quarterback that's in his 30s.
Yeah, it's big. You want a prediction now, I guess?
Well, I mean, I don't expect you to give a prediction now.
I can give one.
What's
the spread?
The spread is 6.
Pittsburgh 6. Okay. I still think Cleveland wins this game.
Really?
But
dude, good for you.
I know, right? I pick Cleveland almost every week on this show. I'm just trying to make the Ohioans love me. Ohio versus everyone, right?
That's what it is.
Ohio versus everyone. I've seen
You
that. I
biased
saw that.
son of a
I saw
bitch.
that short shirt in Georgia, by the way. Ohio versus
Was it,
everybody.
was it at a local Goodwill?
Yeah, you haven't seen that shirt, Ohio versus
Oh
everybody?
yeah, of course
Yeah.
I am. Of
Yeah.
course I am. They sell those at the
Oh,
Walmart.
it must have been at a local Goodwill or something. I
Yeah,
want to know the history behind that. Not now because I know
I
it's
don't
you don't know.
just
Okay,
genius marketing from some shitty store at the mall. I don't
right,
know.
probably. But
Probably
anyway,
something LeBron farted. I don't know.
oh yeah, probably. That makes more sense now. But
no shit.
it makes more sense. But no, I mean, yeah, I think I no, I'm not just saying that because of show everything. I really do think Cleveland was. I think they win in a little bit of a shootout. Like I think this game's gonna be.
It has to be.
They have to, yeah. I mean, well, it's not 21-22 won't be the score. It's gonna be high scoring. I think they're gonna score. I'd say 34-30.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think
good for you. That's not a blowout, but that's not exactly the closest game.
I think Cleveland wins. Yeah, 34-30. I
so,
think.
So you think that
Ben makes a couple mistakes, interceptions. And I think Baker doesn't. I think Baker kind of has one of the big shining moment games of his life, with Jarvis and with Harrison and with those guys on offense. The only thing I'm kind of and obviously Chubb and Hunter are gonna have to have big games if they're playing. I believe they are. I don't know the list yet. If you say one wrong name, I might switch my mind.
I swear to God, I've been searching ever since you opened your mouth, and I am struggling so hard. So far, we know that Kadarius Hodge and Joel Bitonio have COVID. They will not be playing. We also know Olivier Vernon is on the IR list. He will not be playing. Backup center / guard Nick Harris was also placed on the IR, and he will not be playing. Now, that doesn't sound very important, but as soon as I look up this list, it might be. It's also interesting to think about that our beloved first-round offensive tackle, Jedrick Wills, just got pulled over for him and Rashard Higgins got pulled over last night for drag racing. So what are the ramifications of that? Probably not very much. I don't think the NFL cares about stuff that's nonviolent, right? Typically.
They weren't drinking, right? Like
I didn't see anything about a DUI, but like I said, I can't work Twitter good enough to even find the COVID list.
As long as they weren't, I mean, drag racing, they'll get a hefty fine and
from the city of Cleveland or wherever they're at. But the NFL's not going to do anything, right?
They might. No, I haven't heard. Probably not, because I haven't even heard that news at all. I heard about the player getting a DUI after the game the other night on Sunday, but I haven't heard about that drag racing. But they need to be.
Who got the DUI?
Josh Jacobs.
Oh, Josh Jacobs. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. Like 3 hours after the game, or 6 hours after the game. Excuse me.
He went straight to the bar.
Yeah. It's Vegas, I mean, but I don't. Those things matter, especially protecting Baker Mayfield and being able to run up the middle, without having Nick Harris and Joe Bitonio. With Chubb
so someone has to play for Joe Bitonio, and it's likely going to be Nick Harris.
Nick Harris, and he's out.
You know what I mean? So or Kendall Lamb slides in there. I'm not really sure what the game plan is, but Nick Harris has been seeing a lot of time lately because of the injuries to Bitonio and Nick Harris. To Bitonio and Wyatt Teller. So he's been playing an awful lot. So it might actually hurt us worse than the Kadarius Hodge injury.
I'm gonna. Can I flip flop?
Yeah, of course. I would rather you flip flop, to be honest with you, because I hate being the bad guy on my own podcast. I think I'm always picking against the Browns.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip
compared to you.
I'm gonna go with the same score, pretty much.
But opposite.
30. Yeah, 34-30. But I'll go with the Steelers just because that's a lot to be out, and it's the fancy being out and everything. That's a lot. I think that they could lose this game because I mean I could really make a case for the Steelers to win. It wasn't like I was like, oh, Browns are for sure gonna win. I thought that the Browns really. I think Baker's still gonna have an amazing game, like a 3 touchdown, over 300 yard. He's gonna throw a pick probably in there too, but he'll have a big game. But I don't. Denzel Ward being out is really the name that scares me the most because those 4 receivers. I think that's the best receiving core in football. what the Steelers have, and then
it's up there. It is up there.
Yeah, they've struggled running the ball. I mean, I like Buffalo's too, and there's a couple others, Arizona. But
the thing about Pittsburgh's receiving corps is that they play. Everybody has their individual role that they're very good at. Juju Smith-Schuster's Chase Claypool is a freak. Right, he's an absolute freak. He's a number one. He's fast. He's big. Juju Smith-Schuster is very much in that Jarvis Landry kind of mold, where he doesn't have superior speed, but he manages to get open. He runs through a lot of tackles. He hits that intermediate game. And Deontay Johnson has the speed to take the top off. And his route running has gotten a lot better. We talked about him last week because I didn't like him coming out of Toledo. That was a guy that I did not like. Didn't think he was going to have a very good professional career. And he's really surprised me. So that's what really makes their receiving corps dangerous, is that they play their role really well, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. Perfect sense. And they're going to have their work cut out, man. Not to mention what they have at tight end with Ebron, and everything. So, and Ben can obviously, he's mobile. He can move outside the pocket. Having Vernon out is going to be big for that to kind of get sacks on him and get just a hand in his face or this and that. So Miles can't do it all. Miles was an MVP, defensive MVP candidate early in the season, but he's great, but he's kind of slacked off a little bit towards the end of the season, like stat wise. I'm not saying he's slacked off. He's still a top 10 defensive player in the world. But
I would say that, and when I rolled my eyes when you said slacked off, I didn't mean it as like you're wrong. I mean, you're absolutely 100% correct. Slack, he I don't know if it's COVID. I don't know what the deal is. Remember, he was recovering from COVID. He said his struggles during the New York Giants game was due to him still recovering. He was huffing and puffing, coughing, and all that stuff. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why he's struggling. Yeah, it doesn't matter why he's struggling. The point is he's struggling. Olivier Bernard's been picking up the slack at an all pro level. I mean, half of the Cleveland Twitter fandom was saying that don't bring him back. Don't bring him back. He's going to be too much cash. He's too expensive. And now that 100% of Cleveland Browns Twitter is saying, bring that dude back. Bring that dude back. Anthony Hood just commented, and Anthony, I love you to death. This is the first time I've ever seen you comment. I would say the Browns have the momentum going to this game. That is an interesting topic, Donovan, and that's something I think you're going to agree with me on because we kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show. I disagree with that. There's a difference between momentum, as in the team is getting their swing of things, they're grinding, they're grooving, kind of like I would say that the Browns had their momentum when they beat the Colts or when they beat the Titans. They went out, they found what was working for them, and then they exploited that, and they're moving on. This game against the Steelers, they played like shit. They squeaked by the Steelers' backup, and they celebrated like they won the Super Bowl. I don't know if the Cleveland Browns are going to be able to handle the mental aspect of finally playing in the playoffs. This is their Super Bowl. Are they done? Are they checked out? That's my worry. The Steelers didn't give a shit about that game. They didn't care at all about that game, obviously, because they benched half their team. They still almost beat the Browns, and they're focused on those playoffs. I don't think momentum is the right word. I think that the Browns they're in a very positive, mojo mood, but I don't think that they have quote unquote momentum. I think that would actually be on the Steelers side because the Steelers backups were so good against the Browns that they actually almost won. But Anthony, that's a good point. Obviously, as you can tell, Donovan just left the pod. I'm sure he'll be right back on. Probably just disconnected for a second. There he is. Donovan, can you hear me? Donovan, can you hear me? He's getting there. Give it a second. Anthony had another question. Ben hasn't been able to make the throws he has been able to make in the past. Ben hasn't been able to make the throws he has been able to make in the past. Similar to Peyton Manning, the run game has been exposed. I would say the Browns could take advantage. Anthony, that's another great point. I'm glad you're reaching out to us. So you're right, 100%. Ben Roethlisberger, you could see his age, and that's something Donovan touched on last week. That's something Donovan touched on the first time the Browns played the Steelers. That's something Donovan touched on earlier in the game. I've always kind of been in the camp of I don't know, and I'm back in that camp because we saw Big Ben destroy in the deep passing game against the Indianapolis Colts. He was moving and he was a grooving. And I think, and as Donovan talked about this when he was giving his breakdown, the extra.
I'm back. Sorry.
You can hear me now?
I'm back. Yeah, I can.
You can hear me?
Not really that well.
Just give it a second. I was just giving you props. Anthony mentioned that Big Ben is not the same quarterback that he was years ago, and I agreed with him. But I said, as we've said before, that week off is really going to give the 36-year-old some extra juice. He showed off his big arm against the Colts. I know that the Pittsburgh Steelers run game is terrible. James Conner's clearly not a featured back. I think Benny Snell probably could be, but that's also my bias because I loved him so much out of college. But I don't think that they're going to need it. Again, this is a team where the backups almost beat the Browns. Now you're talking about a Cleveland Browns team where Kevin Stefanski's not going to be on the field. Okay. You lost Joel Bitonio, your best all-pro guard. You've lost Kadero Hodge, your number 3 receiver, and you're likely going to miss some other guys that it hasn't been announced yet. One of the guys I remember is Malcolm Smith, the linebacker, so it's already a weak defense that might be losing more. Roy McAvoy comments, Baker is still hollering, holding the ball. Baker Mayfield does hold on to the ball a little too much. I think he's really improved on that aspect of his game. I'm not worried about Baker at all. I feel like Baker's been pretty much lights out the last couple weeks. Donovan, what do you think about Baker?
I'm sorry I couldn't hear, by the way, and I disappeared. Trying to work out some behind the scenes stuff so we can get our guest on. So
Donovan's a champ.
Trying to do double duty right now. But what I think about Baker, yeah, he does. Well, as far as what the comment said, he does hold on to the ball too long. And as far as like hollering, I mean, yeah, that's Baker though. Like he's never going to stop being that guy. Like that's Baker, and that's what. If Baker is not the quarterback of this team, they don't win a couple of those games if he's not hooting and hollering. He's the heart and soul of the franchise and of the team. And is he the best player on the team? No. Chubb, Myles Garrett, so many other guys. But when it comes down to it, when they're in that foxhole, man, Baker's going to get him out as best he can. He's not a top 10 quarterback.
I disagree.
I know you disagree with that. I don't think he's top 10. I think he is in the middle of pack talent-wise. But as far as like heart and soul, determination, all the tangible stuff, he's top 10 there, and we're about to find out a lot about him because I mean, playoffs are where heroes are made in the NFL, man. I mean, everybody was on Peyton's back till he won. Tom won early, but Tom's the GOAT because he's won so much, and Drew has won, Aaron has won, all these guys. We're gonna find out a lot about Josh Allen, a lot about Baker Mayfield, a lot about Lamar. People are calling him a fraud because he's 23, dude. Like he's lost in the playoffs twice, like. So Baker's going to have his chance. And I love to see that chance that you have as a young quarterback at 24 for Baker Mayfield. And you get to go play in the playoffs. The tournament, as Randy Moss, like I said, calls it. I love that he calls it that. But, yeah, they've got the work cut out, man. It's not going to be easy either way. I mean, even jumping ahead, but even if they win this game, it's going to be tough to – like, I don't know the Browns' realistic chance to, like, make the Super Bowl is what I was saying. But it starts here. Like, that's all that really matters. Like,
yeah, I don't think anybody thinks that the Browns are going to go to the Super Bowl. I think that there might be a slight minority in the community that thinks that, but I think that obviously, as you could tell from my last handicap, I probably think that I'm leaning towards the Steelers. Old Coach Braun comments, not having your head coach factor in. Absolutely, we touched about that a little bit. Donovan, actually, you didn't mention that at all. I think that Kevin Stefanski has really. I mean, he's up for Coach of the Year, obviously. I know he's an analytics guy, so theoretically you should be able to just plug and play whatever he's doing and make it work, right? Basically, a computer could do his job, but I disagree. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. I think that's a huge disadvantage, knowing the role of the team and the flow of the game plan. I think that takes real talent. Alex Van Pelt, the last time he was an OC, or the last time he was calling plays, I believe it was in NFL Europe when Keatley Smith was his quarterback. So that's a long time ago. I could be wrong. Double check me on that. But I think that that's going to really affect him. That's another reason why I'm leaning towards the Steelers. Donovan, how big of a deal is it that Kevin Stefanski is not going to be there?
It's a pretty big deal, and he's not the only coach that's not there. There's a couple of coaches, if I'm not mistaken, like you said, linebacker coach, maybe another offensive coordinator or offensive coach, excuse me. I'm not sure what position or he coaches, but I've seen 4 coaches out so far. That's not good. Stefanski not being there, it's pretty big. I wouldn't say it's huge or anything. I mean, just going off of like coaches not being, I don't think is as bad. It's just the players. I mean, we saw like in college with Saban out, the best coach in the world. Like he wasn't there, they still won. And I mean, you just have to have the good assistants that hopefully he hired to take over. Baker's an extension of the head coach. So something I love about Baker Mayfield is that Stefanski being out, Baker Mayfield, yeah, does he have it all mentally like a Brady or Breeze or Rodgers? No, but he's smart, man. He's a really smart guy. He can get it done, and that rah stuff works. He's gonna have them pumped up to play that game, and if they're down at halftime, I think that's something about Baker is like he's not a front runner. Like if they're up, he's not just talking shit. Like if they're down by 21, he's still like, hey, let's get it together, boys. Let's come back and win. The game's not out of contention. But that's what I like about Baker. It's not fake, like it's real. Like because a lot of guys are rah when they're up by fucking 20 points, dude. Like or the beginning of the game. But like, can they be down by 21 at halftime and then still get their team out of it? I think Baker's that type of dude. So with Stefanski being out, I think it hurts a little bit, but he's an analytical guy. Analytics, like you said, so I don't think it'll be too big of a deal, honestly. But
man, we disagree on that. I know you talked about Saban. I think that Alabama's got so much talent that a lot of times that kind of overshadows what he needs to do. I think we saw a good example of what happens when you don't have the play caller in with Clemson, Ohio State, with Tony Elliott being out. It looked kind of like Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne were a little bit lost, or Trevor Lawrence was trying to take the game into his hands, maybe doing some things on his own, and it wasn't quite working out as well as when Tony Elliott is there to kind of guide him and hold his hand a little bit. But again, we'll see. I am messaging our guest. He is saying that the link is not working, and that's why he hasn't joined yet. Donovan, have you been in contact with him?
Yeah.
We're kind of going off script. He said he was waiting on us for 15 minutes. I just texted him. I said, "Dude, we're on." I sent him a new link.
He's messaging me now on Twitter, DMing me, but like I just got off work from the day job, you know what I mean? So I'm recording this on my phone. Like I didn't have time to like pull my laptop up, so I can't really leave this live stream because like you're gonna lose me.
I just sent him another link. I hope if he is watching, I hope he understands that this. We apologize for the technical difficulties.
Yeah,
oh man, cool. Let's see here.
Yeah, we it happens. We're trying to get a pretty big guest on. If you guys are watching, obviously you can see it kind of going through on the bottom line and everything. But we'll get it figured out. We got time. We got time for our guest. This is a good guest, so we'll try to make it work.
Yeah. You guys can suck it. You can listen to us talk about our technical issues. You get to see how the sausage is made. Okay, would you click into the link, Donovan? What happens? You just click into it and it takes you there, right?
I just click and it says enter broadcast. And then I think you press accept or something like that. I don't know.
That's it? Let's see here.
Pretty much. You hit 2 buttons and then you're in. Like, yeah. Probably should have like walked through. Did a walkthrough first? I don't know.
Really? I don't know why you can't get in then.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't really. You can try to screenshot what you're doing. You're on that computer, right? You're on a Mac or something.
Yeah, I'm on the laptop. All right, he just messaged me. We'll have to reschedule. Oh man, that's unfortunate. We'll have to. Donovan and I'll have to bitch at each other off of air for that.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll sneak something in tomorrow with the college show.
Yeah, you know what? We're almost at the 28-minute point. Let's wrap this up with our predictions. Let's shut it down. 30 minutes is enough. No one wants to talk to us about. No one wants to hear us talk any longer than that. Oh, Anthony says he agrees with me, so I'm going to go ahead and take that as a win. Good old Coach Braun. No, the Browns don't have Bama talent. Psh, please. So my prediction, I think you've already know it. I'm going to take the Steelers laying these 6 points.
All right, I'm taking the Browns to cover, but not to win the game.
Wow. Good for you, man. Good for you. Is there anything else you want to add before we shut the stream down?
No, man. Just like I said, this Browns team, you talked about them like over celebrate. I get it. Like I know. Are you more excited about the Browns making playoffs or Ohio State in the championship? That's what I wanted to ask.
You know what? This is a good question for our friendship. What do you think?
I think you're more excited about Ohio State.
Yeah, he got it.
Yeah, because like
I'm realistic about the Browns, dude. I'm real. They're very lucky to be where they're at.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
They are. Yeah, they are. I agree with that. Do you have a? Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Super Bowl favorite and everything.
But the Super Bowl, dude. I think you're. I mean, I think at this point you got to say the Chiefs and something has to go wrong for the Chiefs and Packers not to make it. But right?
I'm nervous, man.
I think that the Saints could sneak in.
They could. I'm just nervous because of last year, but I think everyone keeps saying that, but this Packers team is different from last year. Like, I think this Packers team would beat that 49ers team last year. Am I wrong or am I? I mean,
it's so hard to say. It's so hard to say because the Niners are so well coached.
No, they are. I mean, I like Matt LaFleur. Though. I think he's a really good coach. Not as good as Kyle Shanahan, but I think LaFleur is actually a really good coach. He's going to be the Packers for a long time.
I don't think he's a bad coach, but I do think that the Niners. I mean, we talk about the Niners pretty much on a weekly basis because I'm constantly betting on them. You know, they constantly whatever talent he's given, Kyle Shanahan has them playing above that talent.
That's fair.
So if the Niners are fully healthy and they have that pass rush against Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. The team I would be scared about if I'm the Packers is the New Orleans Saints because the New Orleans Saints they're the team of adversity, bro. I mean, they just keep getting shit on with injuries, and they just keep grinding through. Breeze was out for 5 games. They just kept winning. Michael Thomas was out. They just kept winning. Taysom Hill's not even a quarterback. They just kept winning. The defense is playing phenomenal.
Thomas too. Oh, I think you mentioned Michael Thomas.
Yeah, so it's like it feels like things just line up. You know how the Super Bowl is, man. It's very weird. There's a different layer of you got to want it. That's one of the reasons why I wouldn't put up a lot of futures bets on the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills can wash out the Colts this weekend, but I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl because a guy like Josh Allen.
Dude, everyone's picking. Dude, they're like the sexy team right now, like in the NFL.
They scare me, man. Those teams usually don't make it.
Yeah, they don't. Like, I've been saying since the beginning of the season the Bills were my sleeper team to beat the Chiefs, and it's funny because now I'm kind of backing off of it, and everyone was like, "Dude, like your Bills are doing good." I'm like, "Yeah, but like, do they really beat the Chiefs, or can they even get past the Colts? Because the Colts are underestimated. I've underestimated them all year. They have the tools to beat the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, 100%. I completely agree with you, especially with their running game now. Jonathan Taylor looks like more of a complete bat. With that said, I think that they can beat the Bills. Doesn't mean that I think that the Browns can beat the Steelers. Doesn't mean that they will. The Bills are they're insane. Their offense is insanely powerful, and their defense is really, really good and underrated. No one talks about how good Tre'Davious White's been. Josh Norman has had a little bit of a career resurgence. I think it's because he's relegated to the number 2 corner spot. They're very aggressive. The deal with the Colts and what makes the Colts dangerous, how the Colts play defense is they're not aggressive. They keep everything in front of them. That's why they have cornerbacks that may not have the speed or the athleticism as the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a good example. The Dolphins are extremely aggressive. They go for the pick. They go for the turnover. The Colts don't do that. So that would be my biggest fear as far as the Bills go, because they do like that big play, is that, are they going to get frustrated when the Colts don't let them have that? The Colts, you got to be a little more patient. They want you to drive down the field. But again, I don't know. I don't think there's enough juice there to stop Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. Josh Allen's looking great, man. He really is. I mean, he's in the NFL MVP conversation, I think.
It depends if Phillip's on, man, because if Phillip's on, they do have a shot. But Phillip has been inconsistent really the whole year. He throws a lot of interceptions. Obviously, it's kind of been known. But he's a Hall of Famer, don't get me wrong. But he just throws a lot of picks and makes some mistakes here and there. But, I mean, the whole playoff system is good. I mean, every team has a chance. I mean, I'd probably say I don't think Washington has a chance to make the Super Bowl. I'm not
to make it splash. You're right. I don't know. I tell you what, my big underdog pick, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow. The Ravens, dude.
I got them.
Yeah, so that would be interesting. Anthony mentioned he was talking about don't call Rivers out.
No, I like Rivers, man. It's Phillip Rivers. Like he's. I mean, I like him, but it's just he's a Hall of Famer. But it's Phillip Rivers. Like he's gonna turn the ball over. I'm from San Diego, man. I watched that dude's whole career, like in the playoffs. He was great, but like he makes mistakes at bad times. Like I'm sorry. Like he really.
But does. You know what? He is also clutch when he needs to be too.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. He's. I guess it's like he tries to make things happen.
Yep.
Exactly. I guess it's kind of like Trevor Lawrence. With what we saw when I guess a better example would be last year because Trevor Lawrence was more forcing things to happen last year. Phillip Rivers was kind of like that, where it's like, that dude can make the throws, but every now and again he just goes too far with it and it doesn't work out. Roy McAvoy mentions the Ravens are getting hot at the right time. I think Donovan and I both agreed on that. I think we're going to dive into that more tomorrow.
I told you they made the playoffs, man.
Yeah, well, I never disagree, but they were right there on the cusp.
Yeah.
It definitely helped that the Dolphins shot themselves in the foot and Tua pooped his pants. I don't know what was up with that. By the way, to throw that in the pot of the discussion, I don't think the Dolphins should give up on Tua. No, I don't know why Twitter is being so weird about that, man.
Did you listen? It's Big Cat Barstool. What's the show he has?
Pardon my take.
Pardon my take. They said that they should draft a quarterback. They had him drafting.
A lot of people are saying that.
They had him drafting Fields at 3 and then trading to a.
He played good. There's like 5 games where he played good. The Dolphins suck, man.
They're not even that good.
His best running back is Myles Gaskins. His best receiver is always injured Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. Dude, come on, man. Yeah. That's not cool. Tua's great. Tua's real good. It's weird. It's weird how people can move on so fast in today's NFL. I feel like 10 years ago you wouldn't do that. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they're wanting.
He's the same stats as like Josh Allen. I think they put him side by side. Like they're almost identical.
You got to remember, Tua's going to have a much harder path to climb too because he's going from Alabama, right? So it's really easy to go out there and throw to 3 first-round wide receivers, and now those first-round wide receivers, they're going up against first-round quarterbacks. You know what I mean? It's just
his receivers in college. Battle. Yeah, his receivers in college are better than they were in the NFL, and his running backs. That's hard to say. Because he had Henry Ruggs and Judy and Michi, Waddle,
Devontae Smith and Waddle too. I think that there is something to knowing. I think that there was 2 issues that you saw with Tua. One, for some reason, when he's running, he don't like to be hit, and I don't know if that's because he got injured. I don't know, man. I don't know, but he had one play. What was it, like a 3rd down where he slid like 2 yards before the first down, and I was like, "What the hell was that?"
That hip, I think, still kind of.
So he may get over that. If he doesn't, you got to move on. But I think it's too early to tell. And then he doesn't. NFL wide open is different than Alabama wide open, and he's still adjusting that too. He's waiting for guys to get wide open, and that's not going to happen. But a lot of guys deal with that. Joe Burrow. I mean, that's not an excuse. A lot of guys deal with that. Joe Burrow had first-round wide receivers that Jamar Chase, he was just throwing it up, and the guy was open all the time. Justin Fields got to deal with the same issue. Trevor Lawrence got to deal with the same issue. Very rarely you're going to get a quarterback. Yeah. Josh Allen may be the only quarterback in the last 10 years that didn't have to deal with that shit.
Because the arm is so good. Yeah, I know.
Because Wyoming didn't have wide receivers to beat the brakes off.
Oh yeah, that's true. I know. I mean, I remember when I interviewed Gary Gilbert his first year with the Rams. He said that was like one of the hardest things on the field to deal with. Is just like you have those 8 to 10 in college open throws, like gimme throws. Those are gone, completely. Like you have to make those throws. They're not gimmies anymore. And he's like, that's hard because that 8 to 10 throw could be 3 picks and like 8 incompletions or whatever. Like not 8 for 10 with a touchdown. Absolutely. So like that was listening to him talk about that was huge. I mean, obviously him coming from Texas and then SMU and then going to the Rams and kind of bouncing around now with Cowboys, I guess now. But like, yeah, that was so. Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable, man. Don't give up on Tua. He's got a long way to go. I didn't even think he'd really play coming off of that injury that he had, all those injuries. So
right. It's so weird, man. When
give him one more year, build that team, and you got
2 more years. You didn't think he was going to play. You didn't think he was going to play this year.
Yeah,
this year should be a huge plus for him.
Everyone's like he's not as good as Herbert or Burrow. I'm like, that's why. Well, he's not. Yeah, you're right. But like, no one, even me, and I had Herbert top 5 overall on my board. Even I didn't think he would be that good.
Well, the Mac Jones thing doesn't help either because everybody's like, well, Mac Jones is more efficient and better than Tua was. And it's like, no, I mean, Tua, there was drives where Tua put that team on his back. I ain't seen Mac Jones do that.
I like Mac. I'm a big Mac guy, though.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's super efficient. He doesn't make mistakes, but I think Mac Jones is more in that Tom Brady realm rather than the I'm gonna drill it down your face. I don't know who Tua plays a little bit like John Elway. Okay, we need this. get on my back, I'll take you there. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying Tom Brady's bad, but Tom Brady doesn't do that. That's not what Tom Brady does. He just makes the right decision time after time after time. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. I think there's two quarterbacks to not give up on right now, and one of them's Tua. One of them I still have faith in, Drew Lock. And I think I agree. They were still banged up this year. They were never healthy, and now you got to deal with like Von Miller's not coming back more than likely with the whole baby thing last night, text messages, and then I'm sure you saw that, and then I think it's just time to move on. So they got to rebuild, but they have talent. I would wait a year on Drew Lock, wait a year on Tua, and then there's other quarterbacks out there too, but those two I think I can trust those quarterbacks. Kind of wait on those guys. But
yeah, Drew Lock, I'm with you. I'm right in that farm too. He's not as talented as Tua. I wouldn't give up on him. I don't have a strong argument to stick with Drew Lock. The problem with Drew Lock is that when you go back and you look at his college tape, he has tape that is like, dude, look at what he can do. Look what he can do. But that tape was always against like Abilene Christian and when you thread the needle, you thread the needle. I don't care who it's against. You know what I mean? If you throw it 75 yards through the air, I don't care who that's against, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the problem is he never really did that stuff against anybody that was any good. And that was the problem in college. And that's why it's hard. And I ignored it. So I gave him a first-round grade because I ignored that. Like, listen, I know it was against the Citadel, but how many quarterbacks can do that? And that's what I'm rolling with. And that's what the Broncos did. But at a certain point, it's like, because he has had his struggles.
Oh, yeah. He's played like he played in college. He's had games where he's been really good. And you're like, okay, that's it. 3 touchdowns, bunch of big time throws, and he had the 4 interception game this year. He had a couple fumbles here and there. He's had some crazy wild bad games, but I mean, I'll give him one more year. Just with that offensive talent with Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay, and Judy Sutton will be back. He was out. I mean,
Judy was kind of disappointing too. You know what I mean? You draft that big first round wide receiver, and everyone wants to act like, well, there you go, Drew Lock, go ahead, do it.
Last 2 games of the season, he played well. Last 2 games of the season. I know it was only 2 games, but small sample size. But it's good to end that way. But also, the Broncos ended the season last year well, so that's kind of like, okay, can we start the season well? Can we be good? Remember, they were 4-1 to end the season last year, top 10 offense.
Yeah, I think let me correct myself. I think Jerry Jeudy is going to be great, but he's just. He was
underwhelming. It was underwhelming.
But you're not. You're not allowed to do that. You can't. A lot of people that hate Drew Lock, they would say, "Well, we just drafted a first round wide receiver, and they drafted KJ Hamler in the 2nd round." Yeah, I know, but Jerry Jeudy sucked. You know, it's not.
Sorry, he wasn't.
You can't just say that. Yeah, it's not like they went out and draft. It's not like with Kyler Murray when they went out and they signed DeAndre Hopkins. That's not the same thing. That's not what happened for Drew Lock.
Yeah, no off-season workouts with the receiver, and like every quarterback's not the same. Just because Joe Burrow didn't have off-season workouts either, and it worked. It's just like it's not how it works for everybody.
No,
especially when, like I said, your best receiver is out the whole season, Sutton. Because I mean, really, at the end of the day, Sutton's the best receiver on the team. Judy and Hamler are great. Having that 1-2-3 punch and then Noah Fant, I mean, and then Phillip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon. They just got to build their offensive lineup, I feel like, and stay healthy and have that workout in the offseason and give it a go. And if it doesn't work, I mean, that'll be Drew Lock's 3rd season. Then maybe you can move on. But I would stay with them for now. They need to draft another quarterback, though, I would say, later. Not
might as well.
Well, I mean, Joe Flacco and who was the other quarterback? Jeff Driscoll, right? Or no, it's Joe Flacco. The backup quarterback.
For Denver? Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's Joe Flacco. No, Joe Flacco's with the Jets now. It's Jeff Driscoll.
Jeff Driscoll. And then they got another quarterback that ended up starting the game. I can't think of his name now, but that's
God.
Not Simeon.
No,
he's gone.
Dude, you're thinking of the wide receiver.
That guy. No, they had 3. They had 3 quarterbacks. They all got COVID, and then Hinton played.
Who was the other guy?
They had another one, man. I can't think of his name right now. But either way, they just need to draft a quarterback. Because Driscoll ain't it. I mean, he's like Mason Rudolph. He's like the same thing. Right?
Yeah, only probably even worse. Yeah, man. We'll just go ahead and say it because I feel pretty confident he's going to try to get on the show. We're trying to get TJ Ward on the show. We're having some technical difficulties, but next time we live stream it, please pay attention. We're going to be pushing. We're definitely going to try to push it. As you can see, the little ticker on the bottom that I forgot to remove this entire time.
That's all good. Save it for tomorrow or next week.
Yeah, but all right, this was the Browns Wire podcast. This is Josh Keatley. You can follow me on Twitter at JoshKeatley16. You can hit us up, DM us anytime on Facebook. Make sure you leave us a like, a review, something on iTunes. That's how, any leave us reviews everywhere, dude. That's how we get the notoriety. Donovan, where can they hit you up, and what do you got going on?
Yeah, hit me up on Twitter at Don James Sports. The name remains the same. What have I got going on? Just trying to move right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just trying to move. It's hectic, but no, I still haven't released my high school football recruiting rankings for this year and 2022. But I'm gonna do that. I've been kind of trying to wait a little bit longer, kind of just watch more prospects. I did do a mock draft though yesterday. So
you did?
I did. I haven't put it up yet, but I'm done with it finally. So
you want to talk on the show tomorrow?
Yeah, we can do that.
Hell yeah, I'll talk about the Browns pick. So we got that to look forward to.
Yeah, those two things are what I'm doing in this podcast, of course, the lovely Browns Wire podcast with Joshua Keatley.
That's right. And I do want to credit Donovan. Donovan has been absolutely instrumental in getting this thing spread. Our listenership has gone up. Our review, I've had some people DM me and talk about how awesome you've been, Donovan. And Donovan is the number one reason why we are talking to some of the potential guests that we are talking to. So I do want to give Donovan a big thank you again as we head into our second, to the off season of our first off season together.
I know we're gonna build this show. I was gonna give them hell, man. We're gonna have the best show.
That's right.
Or at least for the Browns. That we can do, and just having different guests on would be great, and I appreciate it, man. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. It's fun. It's always a blast to be on this show. I look forward to every week. So.
Absolutely, and we are out.